What is up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Dolphins versus the World. Before we get into our regular recording, we just wanted to take a brief 11-second moment of silence to remember those who tragically lost their lives 22 years ago during 9/11. So before we get into it, let's take an 11-second moment of silence.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Dolphins versus the World. Is me, your host Chase, and I'm joined as always in video version this time by my host, the co-host Anthony. How you doing, man?
They can see us, so no hiding anymore.
No hiding.
I'm good, dude. I don't think. Does it, as far as the Dolphins win, does it get crazier than that? I mean, that was just absolutely crazy. We're going to talk about it. There's plenty of stuff to talk about today on this episode, but 1-0, baby.
1-0. That's at the end of the day, that's all that matters. One game at a time. But shout out to our producer Joel with us, and as always, behind the man behind the scenes, helping us out here, and he is just excited as all of us here. I know from me and us here, I'm still stressing. I can't even speak right. My blood pressure was just through the roof that entire game, from start to finish. Just what an absolute roller coaster. But yeah, final score: Dolphins 36, Chargers 34. And my God, could it have gone? From working back from the end of the game, the missed extra point just right off the bat. I know the thought in my mind creeped in. How about you? Did you feel that was just like the ultimate, like, writing on the wall? The script was in. We were going to lose 37-36.
Yeah, when Jason Sanders missed that extra point, first off, I was shocked he missed it. Like, it looked good to me. But then they said no. And if you watch the replay, Jake Bailey and Jason both thought it was good. And then afterwards, Jason was like pissed off. As soon as that happened, because I'm trying to watch more football with my wife, because she supports the Dolphins. She's up until like we started dating and got married and stuff, she didn't watch a lot. Her dad's actually Zach Taylor, the coach of the Bengals. It's his first cousin. So a little backstory. But her dad loves football, but she didn't really watch it a lot. So we're watching it, and she doesn't understand, like, again, they missed the extra point. I'm explaining. I'm like, we lost. Like, that happened. I was like, yeah, we lost. Like, that's it. Chargers, all they have to do is go down the field. And then she was like, what's that red line? I was like, if they hit that red line, that's where their kicker is going to be good from. So if they hit that red line and kick a field goal, they're going to win, because we missed the extra point. They have 34. And so I explained it, and I was just like, I swear, if kickers just have so much power on NFL games. But when that hit, I was like, oh my gosh. But Vic Fangio and this defense, if there was a moment to show up, they showed up at the right time. So, we're definitely going to get into a disappointing day for the defense. But at the end of the day, they showed up when it mattered most. And that's really all you can ask for at that point.
Yeah, so that was something great to build off of. But like I was saying before, boy, was I wrong. I was so excited for this defense. And then just as the game kept going on, I'm like, my God, like, what is going on here? This is just like, I don't understand what was going on. I think, what was the final tally on the rushing yards, if you know off the top of your head?
I want to say it was 300. Oh man, 320. Why do I want to say 300?
Total yards for
no. 300.
I was like
234. I was going to say 234,
That's
and I got my 2 on my 3. 234 rushing yards
for a team with Austin Eckler, and like this is not a rush first team. But that to me was like that is the biggest takeaway. I think that like when people want to get negative, like I think the win kind of took it away. Like, but bigger picture wise, that was a big concern. But let's start from the beginning because we'll go through it. We'll get there eventually. But from the beginning of the day, I just want to say the quality of football week 1, especially in the 1 p.m. window, was terrible. And the Dolphins had to save the day there with just a banger of a game. Definitely the game of the day. But my God, the quality. You could feel that people were saying.
It was week 1. You could feel it was week 1. Yeah. It was just like, I bet on week 1, I thought I had like it was just like a little small one to get into it. I had like a 4-game parlay or something. I picked the Commanders, the Ravens, the Seahawks over the Rams.
I had that. That was a tough one.
Yeah, and that was the one they got, and the Vikings, and because I thought the Vikings would beat the Bucs, so I ended up losing. I didn't bet a lot. I only bet like $50, but I was going to win like 200 or something. So I was like, just a little one. So I only lost 50. Never bet on week 1. I learned that lesson. Never do it because it's just like week 1 is such a everything out. Yeah, and it was a shame that the NFL didn't put that on prime time. I wonder how much last year had to do with that because we all anticipated this game last year and we got last year's game. So I wonder how much that. I mean, because that Sunday night football game, you could pay me $40 million to go lose 3-0. Chase, like, well, let's go do it, dude. Like, I'll take out. Give me $4 million and I'll go do what Daniel Jones did. I'll lose 40-0 and I'll walk away with $4 million and be
Noah Igbinoghene getting a kick return. Right. Yeah, that was awesome. Good for him.
Yeah, good for him. That's what I'm saying. Some of these guys just need a fresh start. Just put them somewhere else.
That'd be awesome. But yeah, so then we'll get into the game. Starts off, we got the ball and just drive right down the field. Efficient as can be. Receivers open. And then I'll kind of get more into the minutia of like, what I kind of saw concept-wise and everything, which I thought was fantastic from Mike McDaniel. Really innovative stuff. But yeah, get it all the way down and then fumble. Botch snap. I did not get a chance to see like what exactly happened, but I think both the fumbles were on Tua. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It wasn't like a bad. Normally with exchanges like that, I always say it's on both because it would be like if there was a shotgun snap and a guy dropped it, it's on the quarterback versus a bad snap. But with exchanges, I don't know enough to know like where the placement should be. So point is both of them. I put equal blame on Tua and Connor Williams.
But yeah, that felt like just a moment there. It's like already shooting ourselves in the foot, getting behind the 8 ball, and then they come right down and score. And like I wasn't worried yet. Like I was like, all right, this defense can be fine. That was a scripted portion of their from both teams. So I didn't really think too much of it. And then just as the game goes on though, this offense, my God. I said last year, and we'll see how it shakes out this year, but one of the reasons I thought the Dolphins had a legitimate shot at winning the Super Bowl last year is because I felt like to win the AFC, you had to be able to win a game in a shootout with just the quality of quarterbacks between Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Joe Burrow. Odds are one of those games is going to turn into an absolute just shootout where you're going to have to win a game 50-45 or something like that. And if that's the case this year, let me tell you, if we're healthy, we got no problem scoring as much as we need to win any football game, which is a great sign. And we'll see as the season goes on, though, if that's going to be needed. But I thought Mike McDaniel had a great quote after the game. It was like, defense, don't get your head down. We're going to need you. We're going to have one game where it's going to be 10-3, and we're going to need you. And that's going to happen. And I told my friends, I was like, you guys aren't ready for the 10-3 game because they were freaking out about the defense and everything. I'm like, and then the offense too. They're just ripping the offense as it goes, as people, how people are overreact to everything. when the offense is struggling in that 10-3 game, my God, I can't imagine how some of the people will be who are just having to go at Tua like from the start of the game.
Right.
But yeah, so what did you take me through? Just what you thought as the game goes on. I'll pass the baton to you.
Well, the game started. I believe the first play actually was a bad snap. Two, like there was 2 bad snaps that drive, and when the first one was, I mean, it ended up not mattering because Joey Bosa was in the neutral zone or something. I think it was encroachment or neutral, one of those. They're all pretty much the same thing. It was a false start for the defense. They're all pretty much relatively similar. But it started off like that, and I was like, oh my God, here we go. Like literally first play. That's how we're starting it. And then the drive, like, I mean, this Dolphins offense it's like Madden, honestly. Honestly, it's better than Madden because I sat there and I was like, because I like playing Madden. It's not a great game, but there's nothing else. So it's like I play it. And I after watching the Dolphins every Sunday, I don't enjoy playing Madden because it's not as fun. The plays aren't the same. It's just they don't have that stuff. And like again, you start off with just like the cornerbacks playing like 20 yards off Tyreek Hill, and it's just a quick dump off out route for like 15. Next pass, it's an easy slant route. It's nothing crazy. It's just an easy slant to Jalen, and he takes it to like the 20. And then from there, we're gonna get into how the usage of like Ezukama in the backfield. I love that. The new wrinkles. I mean, they had Tyreek lining up, right outside the offensive line. They had him lining up like a tight end and using him from there. Because last year, the main wrinkle with this offense was they'd have Tyreek going in motion, and then he normally had one of 3 routes. He had a comeback, so he'd motion, he'd do a comeback or a curl. He would just do a fly or go route, or he would do like an in-breaking route of some sort, a post, as some sort of in-breaking route. This year, it's going to take a couple of weeks for me to figure out like all the nuances to it, but it seems like they're doing the same principle, trying to get guys over the middle, but they've just like reinvented how to do it. I thought the running game for the first 2 drives, again, we're going to get into that. The running game was great. They set up on the first drive and the second drive where they got the touchdown. They set up the run game, especially in I formation, which is going to be 21 personnel. So Tua, Alec Ingold, Raheem, you're going to have your offensive line, Durham Smythe. You know how I feel about Durham Smythe. And I was happy with him. I told everyone, I said,
I thought he had a great.
That's all you need with your tight end.
Takes on just some
right, and then you have Jalen and Tyreek in that formation. And when they were running there, they were pretty much unstoppable in both the first and second drive. And then in their third drive, where they got the field goal to go up 10-7, they did play action off of that I formation. And when you do play action off the I formation and you have Tyreek and Jalen, you have man-to-man with both cornerbacks and the single high safety, because you have to crowd the box because there's 8 people up there, not including Tua. You have a single high safety, and all you have to do as a quarterback with play action is read the single high. Does he follow Tyreek or Jalen? Whichever guy he follows, you throw it to the other one. Typically, like Jalen on a play out of the I formation play action ran a go route, and then we had Tyreek on a deep cross. The safety followed Jalen on the go route, and then he had Tyreek on a wide open cross for like 20 yards. When the Dolphins can establish the run game through that I formation, that's what the 49ers do. I watched the whole 49ers game because my brother and my dad are Steelers fans. That's their bread and butter. Their bread and butter is we're going to dominate you in the I formation, and then out of that, we're going to use motion with the fullback and play action and have tons of time in the pocket, and one of our guys is going to be open. That's their bread and butter. So the Dolphins offense was just like, I had high expectations for Tua, and he outperformed my expectations. The all 22 isn't out yet on NFL Plus Premium. It doesn't come out, I think, for the first like 36 or 48 hours. But from watching the condensed game and watching some all 22 on the QB School, which is a phenomenal YouTube channel everyone should subscribe to, Tua missed like 3 passes in the game. He should have broken the all-time passing record for the NFL. The all-time passing record is, I think, 540 something. He needed 80 more yards. He missed, and that's Tyreek and Tua.
Like, it's not like we're here playing. the Seahawks.
It's a really good, right.
That's
And I've never, I don't know if you can think of, I said this yesterday. I was on Finside the NFL. He does like, Reason does a panel of people to come up after the game. I don't think I've ever seen a player improve that much from one game to another against the same opponent as I saw with Tua. He tripled his yards and he tripled his touchdowns.
Yeah.
And he could have easily quadrupled them. I mean, he had legitimate case to throw for 550, 570 yards. So, I mean, I know, again, we're going to get into the specifics and stuff, but at the root of everything is you as a Dolphins fan have a quarterback that can go out and take over a game and dominate. And I just like, again, I understand the defense. I get that, but I always like to say this. How would I feel if this was another team? And at the end of the day, if this was the Chiefs versus the Chargers, what would we all be saying? We wouldn't be like, man, the Chiefs defense gave up all the, they're going to be saying, look at Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
So yeah, it's not ideal, but yeah.
So what I just want to say is like, it's like kind of not conspiracy theory-ish, but the stuff like Tua is doing is at like such a high level. Like the throws he makes, like you said one thing, and like you could see it during the game. And like I even have moments, but like for the casual fan, like when he just throws a ball and like these guys' fingers like are just inches, not even inches, millimeters away. And he's like just putting it in a keyhole size window. Like there's like one play where when he threw it to Barrios on third, I believe it's third down, and they challenged it and lost. Like, I was like, what is he doing? And then, like, all of a sudden, Barrios has, like, I'm like, he's throwing into, like, double coverage. Like, the confidence he has when he's locked in to just hit these guys is so impressive. And, like, I was just, like, I think part of the reason that people try to, like, say he's not good or whatever is that they just don't get what he's doing. Like, it's so high level, it goes over people's head because, like, they just want to see, like, wide open guys walking in the end zone. Like, no, this guy is going to, like, the pass to Tyreek on the fade. I mean, like, that's just incredible. Like, who else can do that perfectly? Like, Tyreek had no choice but to catch it. Like,
yeah, I'm trying to see if I can add it right now. I'm trying to see if I can add the I'm going to see if I can put it up here real quick.
The first game I remember when I was like completely sold was when we played the Cardinals. Yeah.
look, dude,
it's crazy.
Look at that. The ball is circled in red. Look at, dude, I would encourage everyone. I'll say this. I would encourage everyone. If you have never seen the all 22 of Tua play, because I hadn't until last year.
Yeah. Go watch
do like a week trial on like NFL Plus Premium, or again, QB School. If he ever does it, just go watch the all 22 of Tua and take note of when he is winding up to throw the football, because it's once you make your decision, that you're seeing it. Right. It's not just when you release it. Sometimes Tua will be, it'll be a frame like you're watching, like this frame right here. It'll be like this frame, and Tua's winding up to throw the football, and Tyreek's like not even in the frame yet. Like it's ridiculous. Watching his all 22 it's like, it's crazy. So yeah.
There's another guy I'm trying to find here who makes just fantastic videos. I'll find him. Here it is. All Things QB by Tim Jenkins on YouTube. Great video. Okay. If you want to see some in-depth analysis and like he's just as honest as it is. And again, like I literally just think it's just he's just doing stuff at such a high level that people aren't used to seeing. It goes over some people's heads. And look, I mean, he's like, I think we can all agree on this. He doesn't have a cannon. He can get it there. Like when he got it to Tyreek on that third down, like you saw, he could get it there. But like, so what? He's not going to hit a guy like 80 yards down the field. He's not Anthony Richardson. He's not going to be on one knee throwing it through the field goal post. I will take the guy who puts it literally in the breadbasket when the game's on the line in 3rd and goal. And it doesn't matter who's playing wide receiver. They're going to catch that ball. They got no choice.
The thing with Tua, again, this is why I say to go watch the all 22. You won't appreciate Tua's game until you watch it from his point of view. Like if you just watch it, there's nothing impressive really. If we're just being honest about watching Tua from the broadcast view, there isn't. Like we're impressed afterwards when we see what happened. We're like, woo, like Tyreek Hill for 30 yards. If you watch him from his point of view, you are going to walk away going, I don't know how many quarterbacks can do that. Like, yeah, he may not be able to throw it far, but last time I checked, the guy who could throw it far lost yesterday.
Yeah. So homework assignment, go watch the QB school and Tim Jenkins. What did I say?
Really anyone. I think Reason does film too on his
Yeah.
channel. Like anyone who does film, or if you just want to do like a 7-week or 7-day free trial on NFL Plus Premium, if you don't want to pay, just go do that like this week, right after you watch this video first. But then go do it and just like watch the Chargers game, and you're gonna be like, your mouth's gonna drop. You're gonna laugh. It's funny at times too, in a good way.
But yeah, and then we'll get to the man of the hour as well. Tyreek Hill is superhuman. And then people want to be like, well, if Tyreek Hill was here, he'd be doing this anywhere. I mean, that's the chemistry they have is otherworldly. Like everyone on the field knows where Tyreek Hill is at all times, and he's still wide open, running like 5 yards with separation from this nearest player. It's unbelievable. What was the final stat? It was 215 and
11 for 215 and 2 touchdowns, dude.
Unreal numbers. And he might do it again next week. I don't know what the record is, but he wanted 2,000, and he is well on pace to do that.
He's on pace right now. He's on pace right now to have like 3,500 yards. I mean, he's not obviously. Yeah. Dude, if to all the people that are like, if this guy if we had Tyreek, there's a saying, if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. So you don't have Tyreek Hill. I don't know what to tell you. Like we have Tyreek Hill, and
what did we give up for him? One first?
Not enough.
Yeah.
I don't care how much we gave up. He's like the only situation. He's a rare trade where both teams won.
Yeah.
Because if you have Mahomes, I mean, they won Super Bowl without him. But not that Tua is bad, but you add Tyreek and he makes the offense what it is. And honestly, it was a win-win for both sides. Neither side regrets adding him or losing him in that situation.
Yeah, and then I have here like just stock up, stock down. I had Tua, Tyreek, and Durham Smythe was my third one. I had on stock up. I was impressed. I said at one point during the game though, I think it's a little frustrating, like how he was having Smythe as his safety blanket, and like imagine if we just had a high quality tight end and we could just get it to him. Like, and Durham Smythe was great. I like what I saw. His blocking was great and everything. Like, imagine if that was, I'm trying to think of like a middle tier tight end here.
If it was just like a Mark Andrews or something.
Oh my God. If it was Mark Andrews, his offense.
Or Hayden Hurst. Or
even someone like that.
TJ Hawkinson, not Hayden Hurst.
Someone like that. They'd turn him into a superstar. But yeah, I was great. I like what I saw out of Smythe. Any other players on offense and the O-line. Hats off to them, honestly. Hats off to the O-line. 0 sacks. Good job. Those are two studs at the DN positions in Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa, and more than held their own.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Like, well, I think I've said this on the show, but this whole notion, like, I understand wanting a great offensive line because I would love that. I think we definitely need to improve it. But the notion that like this is not, I know we have a lot of the same personnel, well, some of the same personnel, but like the offense last year wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but I think people don't understand, and this is why, again, I'm like the poster child for go get all the all 22, because if you with how much motion and speed there is on this team, these defenders, they can't just pin their ears back and rush the quarterback. And what you saw yesterday was, yes, they had Bosa, and yes, they had Khalil Mack. Austin Jackson, that was one of the best games, if not the best game I've ever seen from him. And the tale of Austin Jackson is he'll do that, and then we'll play the Panthers, and he'll have his worst game ever, and it'll be like, what happened there? You looked amazing against Bosa, and now, But with all the motion there is, it's like if you watch these defenders, they're rarely ever just pinning their ears back. Like they're always stuttering because they don't know this guy's going this way and the play's going that way, but now it's a play action and Tyreek's over the middle. Like there's too much for them to worry about to just be like, pin your ears back and go get the quarterback. But yeah, the offensive line did well. There was a play which I posted on my Twitter where Connor Williams was getting like kind of pushed back into Tua, and his guy, the interior defensive lineman that was rushing the quarterback, fell and hit Tua, and he like landed awkwardly, and it could have been bad. It could have been like a broken ankle. That wasn't ideal. But I mean, like, I don't really know, other than like the snapping issues, which those are significant, but we've addressed them. There's no real need to talk about it more. I mean, the offensive line, to me, if you're able to do that, that's the standard. If you're able to do that against the Chargers, the only team coming up that I expect you to struggle against would be the Philadelphia Eagles.
I think it's going to be a big test this week. They got a no joke.
It is
7 here.
But the standard for me is that it doesn't have to be great. Tua doesn't have to have 5 seconds back there every play. That's not even realistic for anyone. But give him enough time in the proper moments to let the play develop and read the field. And I think Butch Berry, the improvement along the offensive line is noticeable from last year even. So hopefully it continues. To be determined.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I mean, look, he gets the ball out so quick that he helps the O-line so much. And this was without Tehran, which, I mean, it was an impressive performance in my book.
Very impressive. Kendall Lamb. Whew.
Yeah. Sheesh. But, so and then last thing about offense, and then we'll get to the defense. And we were talking about it, but like conceptually, the stuff that McDaniel brought here with this, like the quick motion pre-snap, like just a little bit of motion, snap the ball. It's like almost a cheat code. Like it's hard enough to cover Tyreek Hill when he's not moving pre-snap. And then you get him just a quick little bit burst of speed, and he's gone before you can even move. I feel like this is probably going to be copied like around the league. I don't know why other teams aren't doing this. It was just so smart. I don't know. Like, I honestly, I thought that would be like illegal. It just seems like it's just so smart and so simple. Like, why not just move the guy like a little bit right before his route, get him a running start? Just crazy stuff that, like, when you give Mike McDaniel time, as he said, he's super competitive guy. He's going to find a way to beat you. And like, this is just a new wrinkle he's added. That's so impressive.
Yeah. When Tyreek or Jalen, because we're not talking about Jalen a lot, but I mean,
quiet game, but still great.
When Tyreek's open all the time and it's working, like they'll double Tyreek next time and Jalen will get 150. So it really doesn't matter. I'm not worried about Jalen. I mean, it was like the third play of the game. It was like he ran down the sidelines. It was like, okay, Jalen Waddle's back. But when Tyreek Hill is running full speed before the snap, you're at an unfair disadvantage because, as you said, guarding Tyreek from a standstill is nearly impossible. We saw that on the deep pass. It was, there was the sack on Herbert, short punt, got it inside like the 50, and then the next play, that if you go watch that again, you don't even need the all 22. If you go watch that play, before Tua even gets to the back of his drop, Tyreek already has like a yard of separation on his defensive back. Like, again, that's like a Madden glitch. That's why I said, like, sometimes it doesn't even happen on Madden like that. But there's like a glitch on Madden where if you go one-on-one with someone like Tyreek, he just like gets burnt every single time. That's kind of how that was. It was like, okay, well, I mean, I don't know what the defensive back's supposed to do. Tua is not even at the end of his drop, and he's already 1 yard behind Tyreek. So he's just a cheat code. There's going to be teams that obviously neutralize him and stop him. I'm curious to see what Bill Belichick has to show. But like, I've never really understood people who don't consider him the number 1 or number 2 wide receiver in the NFL. Like, I've seen people that are like Devontae Adams. In what world? Justin Jefferson's the only guy that I will accept you saying is better than Tyreek, and that's just because he's a freak of nature and with the catches he can make. But I mean, yesterday he got shut down in the second half. He wasn't even a factor. Like, Tyreek is the most dangerous weapon on offense in the NFL. Yeah. So I don't know, man. It's wild.
I got a stat here from Brett Coleman. So yesterday the Rams had the second most explosive pass plays, which is 15 yards plus in the league. And they had 8, which is like a great number. And then the first was the Dolphins with 17, which is like just silly. That's like, you never see numbers that high and stats like that. Like, teams shut that down when that starts happening. But I mean, that was another thing that was so crazy to me. Like, we weren't being effective running the ball. Like, they knew we were going to pass, and yet we've still put up like 99th percentile stats. Just insane how good this offense can be when it's clicking. But
it's the best offense. I mean,
I think so. 100%.
It's the best. It's the best offense.
No question.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so I want to emphasize for Dolphins fans, you're never as good as your best, and you're never as bad as your worst. And hopefully, this was not the best for the offense, but it could be. But hopefully, this definitely was the worst for the defense.
We all saw coming. We all expected them to. We all expected that to happen.
Yeah. No,
I didn't at all.
I did not. And what's crazy is that, like what we were saying before, is at least I thought you want to or you were saying you wanted Justin Herbert to kind of like make plays. His ADOT, his average depth of target, was still the same, 7.5. And yet their offense had what was the number you said? It was 300 something plus yards. Most of them on the ground. Oh my God.
And hopefully people who watch this game understand what I've been saying about Herbert for the last 2-3 years. I had my own podcast, and now I'll say it on here. He is Ryan Tannehill on steroids. Justin Herbert, if he's able to hand the football off and dump it off to Austin Eckler, is the greatest quarterback of all time. That's all he did. There was a pass where, again, like, I was so severely underwhelmed with Justin Herbert's game. I mean, you look at the difficulty, and people, I don't know what excuse they're going to use now, because Herbert fans love to make the excuses of they've gone through 3 offensive coordinators now. I don't know how, maybe you have to go through one more to figure out he's not clutch. You had the running game there. You had the running game there. All of your weapons are healthy. I think a lot of, like, again, it's not like Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are what Tua had when he had Isaiah Ford and Devontae Parker. Like, he has good weapons. He has a good offensive line, much better than the Dolphins. Not sure what the excuses are, but again, I was severely unimpressed with him. He really didn't do anything. The only thing was he handed the football off, and then he would drop back to pass. And if he wasn't getting sacked, like even the sack against Cater Cohen, you don't have any feel. Like, you don't have any feel for the, like, you see Cater running at you, you're not going to do anything. Yeah. He just like stood there, and I was like, I'm confused. But again, that's Herbert. And I've always said this, he's a great quarterback because he will be able to make these impressive throws. But if you've ever watched, and I've watched a lot of his stuff, because especially earlier on when Tua wasn't that good, I was like, man, like, look at what Herbert's doing, like, especially in year 2, just being completely honest. But this is what Herbert does. He'll go into a game, he'll throw a couple checkdowns to Keenan Allen, to Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler should be making a lot more. He's like the main part of their offense. And then he'll make about 3 or 4 throws a game that make you go, wow, I'm not sure who else in the NFL can make that throw. And that kind of prolongs the infatuation with Herbert, because he'll do it every week. So you kind of get lost in the, oh my God, look at these amazing throws. But then you forget that he keeps losing and he isn't clutch. And they've gone through 3 offensive coordinators now, and it's the same story every single time. So this game was, what this game showed me is if both teams are planning properly and it's all fair playing field, we actually even played in their stadium.
I think it's their best shot on both sides of the ball. I don't think they got their best shot.
You're a full health on both sides of the ball for the Chargers and the Dolphins. And when all things are even and it's just one team scheming up versus the other, one guy knew how to win the football game and the other didn't. And people are going to say he doesn't have Tyreek and Jalen. No one does. Yeah. Like, Patrick Mahomes doesn't have Tyreek or Jalen. He didn't have that Tyreek or Jalen last year, and he still did really good. Tua was still clutch too before the Cardinals game, his rookie year. Clutch. His best wide receiver was Devontae Parker and Preston Williams. One of them's not even in the NFL. The other didn't even play last week because of an injury. Shocker. So, like, clutch has nothing to do with talent. Clutch has everything to do with just, do you rise up in proper situations? And Justin Herbert just doesn't. He's very talented, but he doesn't have that clutch in him. And thank God that we have the quarterback who does, because we would have lost if we didn't.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah. So from perspective, just from what I saw from the defense, I haven't been able to rewatch the game or anything, but like, what did you think about just how they were running the ball? It didn't matter if it was Eckler or Kelly. Like, I don't know. I honestly, I don't have a take yet. I'd like to, watch it again and see. I don't think it's anything to be overwhelmingly concerned about. It's going to be a good test this week because this is a great rushing offense. And as we've seen with Belichick plenty of times, whatever your strength is, he's going to take it away. And whatever your weakness is, he's going to do his best to exploit it. So I think this is going to be a good test for this Dolphins rush defense here to see if we got a problem on our hands or that was just an anomaly scheme wise. And it's going to take time for, everything to come together on the defense. So I'm not too worried. But yeah, for rush defense, what do you think? And then we'll talk about the pass D.
Yeah, I have to wait to see the all 22 just because I don't know coverages and exactly what they were doing. I know when it mattered most, he dialed up blitzes, so I can tell you he didn't blitz a lot. I mean, I was sitting there like, I mean, we went from one extreme.
13 plays total were blitzes, and I think on 9 of them there was pressure.
So it wasn't a lot, but that just goes to show you again, if you're a Chargers fan saying we don't have weapons, I like to. I don't know as much about football as like a Vic Fangio, but I like to think like, let me see how other teams play you because they're going to know how much of a threat they are. And what the Dolphins told you is we're going to go into this game because we are worried about Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Justin Herbert. They're not worried about the run game at all. They weren't. And to me, what the game plan was is they went into it thinking they were going to throw a lot. They didn't really make adjustments, but I would counter because even I was saying that where it's like, why aren't you adjusting? What are you doing? You can't really adjust to getting your ass whooped at the line of scrimmage. There's no adjustment to that. It's like, okay, Wilkins, if you want $24 million a year, show up. Zach Sealer, you just got a contract, show up. Bradley Chubb was MIA the whole entire game. Jalen Phillips he looked honestly for most of the game like he did in years past, where it's like he's like the almost there guy, where it's like, man, your effort is incredible. I love Jalen Phillips. He's one of my favorite players on the team, but like he's like almost there all the time and the effort's great and he has a lot of pressures. But then at the very end of the game, he looked like TJ Watt. But again, this scheme, I can't stress this enough for people who don't understand. Vic Fangio's scheme is dependent on you applying pressure with 4 or 5 guys. Yeah. If they're not going to be able to apply pressure with 4 or 5, that's an issue. Because problem. Yeah, exactly. So like against the Patriots, though, I don't anticipate this because there isn't a Keenan Allen and a Mike Williams. And I know for some reason Chargers fans like to crap on them as if like they suck. I don't know why. I think they're right. I think and injuries I understand, but like you don't have to worry about that with the Patriots. The Patriots, the main focus the main game plan will be running the football. And so I don't think you're going to see the same defense. And also, let's give these guys time. It's a new scheme. Vic Fangio's been out of it for a year. Like if we get to the Panthers game and they're still getting dominated like this at the line of scrimmage, we'll come on the podcast and talk about it. But the first 3 to 4 weeks, I mean, like look at the Dolphins last year, even on offense. It was their first year in the offense, and we weren't really dominating on offense until like the Lions, the Bears, the Texans, the Browns, that game. Because if you remember, the Patriots game was a good first half. Second half wasn't great. The Baltimore game, there was just a bunch of blown coverages, which Tua still has to recognize that. But this was a way more impressive game than the Baltimore game, even though statistically he had more touchdowns. And then it was like the Buffalo Bills game. We scored 21 points, and then he got injured, right? So it takes these guys like 4 or 5 weeks to settle into this new scheme. So ultimately, these guys step up, play better, and I just think that hopefully the lesson learned here was we can't commit 100% to the pass all the time. Like even if that's our goal, we have to strike a balance with, adding in some blitzes here and there. David Long, I mean, just didn't look that good, and he didn't play a lot, especially when they were in nickel and dime. He was like never on the field. So Again, it wasn't good by any stretch of the imagination. I was shocked, to be honest. I didn't expect that at all. But like, let's give it a couple weeks. I don't think that it would be fair to judge these guys. I saw people that were like bailing. They were like, there was a guy after the first drive was like, not a fan of Vic Fangio's defense. And I was like, dude, like, I'm not happy with this either, but can we like I saw even people that I like respect a lot, like Big O Show was like, Vic Fangio is a fraud. And I was like, what? I was like, it's a week. Like, yeah, this is horrible. He needs to do a lot better because he's getting paid a lot of money, but like, he's a fraud after one game. What do we, I was just like shocked, especially at the level of like these big name people saying that. So let's just give them time. And, certainly if it continues, we'll talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, look, when you can't get pressure with 4 or in the style of defense he wants to run, it's going to be a problem. And that's what happened in that game. Right. He's a very smart guy. He's going to figure it out. I mean, obviously, if he realizes that we can't get pressure with 4 people, he will adjust. I have no doubt in my mind. He's not going to be a Josh Boyer who still keeps running cover 0, even though it's
He'll adjust. He'll adjust.
He'll adjust. I think we won. We'll figure it out. We won. Yeah, and we won
the game. So it's like
it mattered. Okay. He knew what he needed to do. He dialed up the pressure, and it got home, which was encouraging to see. Because that was like last year when we just overwhelm players or overwhelm teams with multiple guys. Jalen Phillips, like when he's one-on-one, is a monster.
His motor is ridiculous. Like
Bradley's up though. I agree. That's a bit concerning. They gave up and everything. It's like, come on, dude, you gotta get to the team eventually. You're not in Denver anymore. We'd like you to show up. Yeah. What else do I got here? A couple more talking points.
I will say real quick while you're doing this, how about Javon Holland, dude? Javon Holland was just all over the field. Your safety should never have 14 tackles. Let's preface it by saying that. But Javon Holland, I mean, he was just all over the place. He looked great. Xavier Howard, I know he had the 3 DPIs, but I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I'm not trying to be a homer here. Some of those were like weak calls. And if you've never, no one's on here, like you guys have never watched football with me, but I'm actually like pretty level headed when it comes to like penalties. When there's penalties called on the other team, like I'll be like, man, Dolphins got away with one because that was a horrible call. Like I do that all the time. Like if the Chargers got called for something, I'd be like, man, we got away because I didn't see that. That wasn't a penalty. I do it for both teams. There was a couple of the calls against Xavier Howard where I was like, what? Like even there was one play. What was it? I think it was in the red zone where he didn't even expect it. Normally defensive pass interference, they expect it and they're like, they act shocked, but like he didn't expect it at all. And then afterwards he was like, wait, what? Like, I don't know, man. It was crazy, especially with the Braxton Berrios interception. Like he literally got pushed by JC Jackson and that was no pass interference. So it was just like
2 poor decisions to have made to just
right. I didn't really like that, to be honest. I didn't like the decision. But also like in that situation, in that situation, I know they can't choose if JC Jackson's on Berrios. So you should have never made that because it's like, that Braxton's running a go route and him on JC Jackson, you're giving him a jump ball and he's a slot against JC Jackson. If you do that play with Eric Ezukanma, okay, I would take my money on Eric Ezukanma, which we haven't even talked about him. But dude, how about Eric Ezukanma out of the backfield? Like what the hell? We're like, who's going to play running back? Apparently, Eric Ezukanma.
Yeah,
we've only seen a little bit of it, but he looked really good. I can't wait.
When A-Chain comes back, there's going to be so many just different looks, packages,
different wrinkles and stuff. Yeah, I loved it, but I loved Eric Ezukanma actually being active and playing. But like stuff like that, if you're going to run a go route right there. Yes, you can't choose JC Jackson to be paired with Braxton, so you shouldn't throw that ball. But, in those type of situations, maybe next time, if there's someone running a go route and he's going to be on the outside, so typically you're going to be lined up with a number 1 or number 2 corner, put Ezukanma there. That's his specialty is 50-50 balls. So food for thought.
Yeah, and then just a couple of funny things that I noticed. You were saying like, Javon was everywhere. Christian Wilkins was literally the first guy in every touchdown celebration somehow. Like there was like one where they did Raheem was surfing on the first one. I was like, was he on the field? And like, I rewinded, like, no, he was on the sideline, but somehow he was just like teleported right next to them. He loves his team. He's got to do more than that though if he wants the kind of money.
Yeah, it doesn't mean he's worth 24 million, but no, I mean, I love Wilkins. I really want him to be on this team for the long haul. I'm also going to be smart, and my opinion is if he's wanting anything north of 20 million, he's not worth it. But I hope that he's on the team because I mean, like, even on the fumble, dude, like the first drive on the fumble, he was out there like watching on the field, like, is this a fumble? Did we get the ball back? And it's like, dude, you're not even playing right now.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's allowed. Like, he was on the field. If you go rewatch the game, like the condensed game, he comes out on that first drive when it's a fumble and then the Chargers get it. He's like on the field watching. And I'm like he's just like always involved in everything. But a quieter game for him. This is definitely not the game he's going to use to show you why he deserves to make 24 million. But the energy's always there, dude, all the time.
Yeah. So I got a couple of like advanced metrics I just want to share here. I get these from this is funny that this is a site like everyone's going to be like, oh, you know, this definitely he made this site, but it's called runningbacksdon'tmatter.com. And it's just an advanced metrics stat site. But so for our EPA per rush, which is expected points average, basically it means they use math to take a weighted average of how many points you were expected per play. So this is just how many points were expected per our rush. Minus 0.45, which is in the 6th percentile. That's really bad. Chargers had 0.32, which is the 97th percentile. That's really good. And then per pass, 0.38, 97th percentile. And they had 0.21, 85th percentile for their passing game. Both offenses were just absolutely flying. Yards per play for the Dolphins, 8.54. Crazy stuff here, honestly, like all 99, 98s. And this offense was like just so beyond what anyone could have thought it could be week one. When you compare it to just somehow some of the other offenses, like we were saying, the quality of football this week was terrible. The Dolphins offense was by far the best offense week one, which was great. And you got to give all credit to McDaniel, and Tyreek for that. But we got to move on. Any other thoughts you got about the game? You take it one game at a time. Again, don't get too high, don't get too low, but great stuff week one, I thought.
Yeah, it's the beauty of the NFL. No matter what happens each week, good or bad, next week you get to try it all over again. And it's a new opponent. It's a big game. I've said this from the beginning that the Patriots, even though I think they probably might finish 4th in the division just because of how tough it is, I still think the Patriots are a good team, and I think they're going to be better than last year. I mean, they almost beat the Eagles.
Yeah, they got down 16-0, which I think was tough for them because especially with that offense. That's not an offense you can be from behind. But yeah, they're going to be a tough game. They're going to be
this is going to be a tough game against the Patriots that we definitely it's going to be a tough game for sure. I think Tua hasn't lost to Bill Belichick yet. So,
interesting thing about that game real quick, and I'll let you just go. But there's talks that this game could be moved because of the Hurricane Lee that's coming up the coast. It's going to supposedly a lot of bad weather is going to be on the Northeast coast, Boston area, New York, all that.
Home game?
There's talks. I'm not saying it's going to happen or anything, but they floated the idea, that would be so awesome to get a flipped game Monday night. I'm not saying anything, not getting anyone's hopes up, but I've seen it a couple places saying that they're floating the idea if necessary. They're obviously going to see what happens with the storm. It's fluid situation, but boy, would that be cool.
Yeah, man, because I mean, it's huge. Even the Chargers game, last thing is like, you beat a team that is going to be in the playoff picture somehow, whether it's in the hunt, wild card, whatever. I don't think they're going to win the division, especially now that Chris Jones got his extension, at least a 1 year. But this is a good team. I think we could both agree they're a good team. I mean, they whooped us last year, right? It's not like we dominated them. They're a good team. They're going to be in the AFC picture. They are in the conference. So this was a huge win. You pair that with the fact that the Chiefs lost. You pair that with the fact that the Patriots lost, and one other team in our division is going to lose tonight unless it ends in a draw, which I'm starting to think the Jets are going to win, but I don't. If I'm going to pick a team, I would want the Bills to win, because like if the Jets can beat the Bills, I mean that, I mean, like that means
that might explode if the Jets have a
right. But honestly, I'm leaning that way. Like right now, I think the Jets are going to win tonight. I don't want that, but I think they could. And they probably they might. That's my pick. I'm about to actually go watch the game. It's actually, did it start already?
I think it's probably kicking off. I don't know if they got delayed because I saw that they had the fans leave just because there was some weather there.
Yeah, it's about to start. I don't see any delays. It's about to start, but I mean, that's going to be a good game. But again, you figure two teams in our division are going to be 0-1. One of them you're going to play next week. If you can beat them, you're going to be up 2-0, and the bottom team would be 0-2. That's huge. To start 2-0 in your conference, 1-0 in your division, it would be huge. I think they understand that. But yeah, you move on to next week. On defense, you don't get too down on yourself. It's a whole new team. It's a whole new matchup. Gain these week to weeks. It's not about records. It's about how you match up against this team. And just because you didn't match up well against one team doesn't mean you won't against this team, and vice versa. Right. So big game coming up on offense and defense. You don't get any, you don't hang your head too low or too high. You just focus and move forward. And next week you have a big game. That's the thing I love about division games is they never get taken lightly, no matter how bad the other team is, because your goal is to dominate your division. So luckily on offense, I don't think they'll be taking this lightly. And on defense, nothing to take. There's nothing to hang your hat on. So you just go out, and I think you'll get a motivated defense next week. So I'm excited for it. We'll talk about it obviously later this week when we do our breakdown. But man, just a crazy game. But now we turn our sights to the New England Patriots. So.
Yep. And then last thing I'll say, and then we'll close out here. Shout out to all the fans out at the game. Even the
home game.
Yeah, Dolphins fans showed up big. I mean, everyone does when it's in that stadium, but shout out to them. I literally, there was like one play where I think it was like the grounding at the end of the game when he intentionally when they called intentional grounding.
And when they called it, the stadium erupted.
Yeah, and then I was like, they're not calling it. But then it was
louder. Even when Jalen Phillips did the sack, the last sack, when Jalen and Justin Bethel split the sack, I mean, that's embarrassing if you're the Chargers. You're at your home stadium. Well, that's what happens when you move from San Diego. That's such a shame. San Diego is one of the greatest cities, just beautiful, and they moved from it. But that's what happens. And there are a lot of Dolphin fans in LA. And so that's always basically a home game. I don't know if you saw Big E's post at the very beginning. He showed like that he was panning the crowd, and it was like 60% Dolphin fans, 65%. So yeah, if you're a Dolphin fan who was there, I didn't because I thought I was going to need to go to work. But I could have gone to the game on Sunday. It's like a 4.5 hour drive from where I am. So I was like, man, I really should have gone to that game. That would have been electric.
It would have been. We got to show out like that for the Broncos. Support this team. We got to create a great atmosphere. Really turn Hard Rock into one of the great home field advantages in the NFL, like it should be. But yeah, I mean, anything else you got here or nope?
No. Fins up.
Well, from us here at Dolphins versus the World, 1-0. Hope to have everyone back here when we preview the Patriots game shortly here in a few days. But please, everyone, like, share, comment, subscribe if you like seeing our faces. Do all that stuff. It really does help. Honestly, it gets it out to more people, helps us grow. So please interact with the channel in whatever way possible. Give us a follow on Twitter, Dolphins versus the World. Follow everything, man. We hope to keep growing this. But yeah, please interact, engage, grow this. And from us here, fins up. Go Dolphins.